Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Marlene, and as you come along, please subscribe. Today we are going to discuss what is missing in our lives. As we go along each day, we achieve, we become successful, we do all sorts. But then there's a time when we think that something is missing in our lives. Is it purpose, meaning, a reason for living? These are things that we each desire and search for in life. Despite steps we each take to find purpose and meaning in life, we still feel empty, unfulfilled. And that is because there's a spiritual emptiness in each of our lives. We each have a hole in our heart. It is like a spiritual vacuum way down in our soul, a God-shaped blank. Nothing that you possess can fill this emptiness. No matter how successful you are, cannot fill this. Relationship alone cannot satisfy this emptiness, and morality in and of itself falls miserably short of occupying this space. In fact, not even religion can fill this void. There's only one way to effectively fill this void, one way that can effectively fill this void. And not this way not only will help us to live a life that is full and rich on this earth, but more important, will give us the absolute hope of spending eternity in the presence of God. Anyhow, before we can truly appreciate this good news, we need to understand the bad news, which is a very serious problem we all have. The problem is sin. The Bible clearly identifies the problem as sin. Sin is not just an act, but the actual nature of our being. We were born with a nature to do wrong. In other words, we are not sinners because we sin. Rather, we sin because we are sinners. And David, an Old Testament Israelite ruler, wrote in Psalms 51 and verse 5, I was born a sinner. Yes, from the very day my mother conceived me. And because we were born sinners, sinning comes to each of us naturally. And that is why it is futile to think that all of life's problems comes from within. It is within, because according to Jeremiah 17 and verse 9, which tells us that the human heart is the most deceitful of all things and desperately wicked. So it is within. Most of the problem that we are facing in our society today can be traced back to our refusal to live God's way. Clear back to the Garden of Eden, where Adam made his choice. He suffered the consequences of it by setting the pattern that all humanity would follow. Yeah. And Romans 5 verse 12 to 8 tells us that because of One man, sin enters the entire world. Adam's sin brought death. So death spread to everyone, for everyone's sin. Adam, one man death, one man's sin bring condemnation to all. It's not fear, we might protest. But yet, given the opportunity, most of us, or even all of us, would have done the same thing as Adam. And the truth of the matter is, not one day passes when each of us is not faced with the same test that was set before Adam. Definitely. So, everyone sin. Sin entered the entire world because of Adam. It's not fear. We might protest. Why should we suffer because of what someone else has done? You know? But there is good news. There is always good news, because God has given us freedom of choice to choose between two separate paths. The path that leads to life and the path that leads to death. Deuteronomy 30 and verse 90 tells us that I have given you a choice to choose between two paths, the path that leads to life and the path that leads to death, to choose between blessing and curses. Now I call unto heaven and earth to witness the choice you made. Choose life so that you and your descendant might live. Yeah. Someone might want to say, I am not guilty of that because I have lived a good life. I am kind and considerate to others. I have lived by the 10 Commandments. But the 10 Commandments, or the law as they are called in the Bible, did not come to make us good. Rather, the 10 Commandments come to show us how bad we are. Romans 3 and verse 20 tells us that no one can ever be made right with God by doing what the law commands. Because the law was given to us to show us how sinful we are, how bad we are. And we might even want to say the law was given to us to shut our mouth and to show us how desperately we need God's help and forgiveness for this terminal condition as sinners. Yeah. As this terminal condition as sinners. We all miss the mark. Romans 3 and verse 23 tells us that we have all sinned. And those who would want to exempt themselves from this eternal truth. Verse 10 of the same Romans 3 tells us that there is not one righteous. Another name for righteous is good. So there is not one good. The word righteous means one who is as he or she ought to be. So when the Bible tells us about righteous, it is not so much referring to our behavior, but our inner character. We have all missed the mark. There's a Greek word, derived Greek word, harmatia, Harmatia, which means to miss the mark. As far as the mark of perfection goes, we miss it by a mile. We miss it. We all miss it. And although our sinful nature makes it impossible to live God's way, we still cannot blame sin on our nature alone, because sin is a deliberate act. And because sin is a deliberate action, we cannot blame sin on our society, our environment, or our mental or physical state of mind, because we all chose to do what was wrong. We have not done this once or twice. And if we try to protest this, 1 John 1 and verse 8 tells us that we are only fooling ourselves. We have offended a holy, holy God. We have offended a holy God. We have not done this once nor twice, but so many times that we are unable to keep count. Yeah, we have offended a holy God. We all chose to do what was wrong. Romans 6 and verse 23 tells us that the wages of sin is death. Wages are something that you are paid for work rendered. So in other words, we earned the penalty of death, which is eternal torment and punishment in a place called hell. In a place called hell. But amid this talk about sin and death, God has given us a way to escape or the penalty of our sin. He has made it possible for us to have a relationship with Him and to enjoy the hope of spending eternal life without punishment. What an awesome God. What a merciful God. He's always making a way. So, join me in my next discussion where we will see the solution. We will know what to do about this terminal problem that we have as sinners. Please leave a comment. Feel free. Your comments are highly appreciated. Shalom. Subscribe. Thumbs up. Hit the notification bell because we are having fun. And you don't want to miss out on any of our discussion. Peace.